This is the Lydian spin, and we're not going to stop. But we would appreciate any help we can get because, look, our mouths do not run on gas and air alone, occasionally food and drink. So if you wouldn't mind contributing, no contribution, too large or too small, because we're just going to keep going, whether or not you help us out. Your gain, your loss.
The PayPal is paypal.me/TSD1975. That's paypal.me/TSD1975.
It would help. We're going to keep going. We don't like to beg, and certainly we're not, but actually, it's a fucking command. Take it or leave it. Thank you. This is the Lydian Spin. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch and Tim Dahl. And by the way, we would respond kindly if you just put your finger on the PayPal button. I'm just saying. Now, Tim, I'm in Brooklyn. Where you at?
I made it to Berlin. I just got back from Estonia. That's a whole other conversation. But
there is so many flight delays everywhere. You're lucky you made it.
Well, there's no government shutdown there, but
well, I don't mind talking about it for a minute. Now, here we go. First of all, I'll get into that in a minute. I feel like, hang on. I'm allergic to this American government. Now,
fair enough.
I don't know if you heard about this, but the cunts in the White House, as another distraction from releasing the Epstein files, which contain the names of a cabal of million and billionaire pedo butt buddies, are now going after Antifa. Now, Tim, let me just say, Antifa is not a highly organized movement, nor is it merely an idea. It's just loose affiliation of some activists scattered around. And
I mean, my experience with Antifa, because I've definitely played like squat punk clubs around the world with the Antifa things, but it's mostly just like punk rock nerds. I mean,
can I tell you what it stands for, by the way? Let's just define what Antifa actually stands for. Anti-fascist, okay? All right. People that identify as Antifa are known for what they do not support. For instance, they oppose fascism, nationalism, far-right ideology, white supremacy, authoritarianism, racism, homophobia, xenophobia, all right? And also often denounce capitalism and government overall, which I do too, but it's not affiliated with anything. So now they're going after, and they want to implicate criminals that don't exist instead of going after the criminals whose names are sitting on, according to her, the belligerent blonde Pam Bondi's filthy desk, whose testimony, which I saw yesterday, was riddled with so much arrogance and bullshit that she actually takes the cake, or should I say the mushroom, in being the queen of cock corruption. Just saying. That's just one part.
Well, actually, the numbers are out. The numbers are out. And the numbers were out a long time ago, actually, on this one. Because after 9/11, about domestic terrorism. And dumbass Ernest, I should have never had the job, G.W. Bush, insisted on a FBI report on domestic terrorism right after 9/11.
And who were they? Right-wing fanatics.
It was all right-wing. I mean, listen, I'm a straight white guy, but it was all straight white guy, right-wing nutcases.
Of course it is.
And so leftist terrorism and Islamic terrorism in the United States, it does exist. It's just like a micro drop compared to these motherfuckers.
Right. Have you got any stories before I deliver my
I'm going to say one thing that's pretty interesting, because I'm just coming out of the Baltic and I had to fly in through Denmark, and Denmark's is pretty interesting what the prime minister is presenting. Treating social media like alcohol, and that 15-year-old, the cap is going to be 15. That just like drinking, you can't legally do this. And it was based on the stat that boys between the ages of 11 and 18.
Oh, training ground.
And it's, we know what this is all about. It's about chronic masturbation and access to porn, I think. 60% of boys between 11 and 18 do not interact socially with anyone outside of, in their free time. Of school, they have to do it. In their free time, 60% in a week, They just in a week, and she's like, well, the numbers are out because, you know, fine, we can live in a free world, but do you think 6-year-olds should be guzzling whiskey? I mean, and she thinks it should be treated in the same fucking way, you know, like
false reality.
Anyway, there you go.
All right, you done?
Well, with that one, I mean, Gene Simmons.
Well, I'm ready to go.
Getting
So,
a car accident. All right, go ahead.
Say that again.
Well, Gene Simmons blacking out and getting a car accident, but we can go into your thing.
Look, you're lucky you're not in Magistan right now. All right. So, as Republicans take a permanent vacation from reality and cower at the stench of a belligerent, illiterate, cognitively impaired commandant in chief suffering from the extremely obvious onset of dementia, he, the self-crowned king cunt, who would be dictator, who every time he opens his freaking mouth continues to lie, steal, and cheat, the likes of which we have never seen, and is allowed to get away with it, surrounded by boot-licking sycophants, most of them power-grubbing, money-mad millionaires whose cruelty and ignorance is sending this country straight down the shitter, making everyone madder, poorer, sicker, and sick of it all. And we will all get even sicker thanks to that ex-addict with the worm-infested brain who now leads the United States Health and Human Services, whose entire family has even insisted on his resignation due to his stupidity and false conspiracy theories. Now, I do have to hand it to the Democrats who refuse to stop harping on about the cuts to affordable health care. But give me a fucking break. I can't afford, and neither can a lot of other people already, health insurance, because insurance is such an unbelievable scam. Hospitals overcharge, medical debt puts millions of people below the poverty line. But hey, Hakeem, are you listening? Why do you fail to address one of the most important issues at large? America is the only industrialized nation. Why? That does not have universal health care. Something you have not brought to the frickin' table. Why? Why has that not been said at all? Hello. Homelessness has increased by almost 20%, almost 1 million people, largest amount of homelessness in 20 years. More than 40 million people living in poverty, while the wealth of the top 1% in America has unbelievably and grotesquely risen to, why don't you give me a number, Tim? What do you think the 1% of America sits on in their fucking mattresses and bank accounts? Just tell me what you think it is. How much?
Well, it's more than 50% of the other. No.
How about 52 trillion fucking dollars?
Well, okay.
So how
did I get that number?
Why should they give a shit about the price of everything from food to gas to rent rising when they can afford it, but we can't? I mean, in October 18th, hello, another No Kings protest in the streets of what was once America before mass marauders were sent into cities that don't want or need them. Hello, Antifa. Huh. That's an understatement.
Well, there is compromised socialized medicine if you're below the poverty line, and so people do their doctor checkups in the emergency room, which basically clogging up emergencies, and then middle class have to pay the taxes on that.
It's all
which
bullshit.
Basically destroys them, which forces them into being a poorer class.
A lot of poverty is
the whole point.
A lot of poverty is caused by medical insurance fraud, expenses at the hospital, and the fact that they poison us with everything that we breathe, drink, and think. And obviously, life is expensive, death is free. No wonder there's so much suicide on the internet.
Meanwhile, a quarter of FBI agents have been assigned to immigration enforcement. It's so fucking stupid, and we're all paying for it, except for the billionaires, of course, except for them.
I must feel the tide must be turning, because you know who's going to suffer the most is a lot of people that voted for this ass clown. Everyone is suffering, and the thing is,
so check it out, Lydia. So, last week I spent 6 days in Estonia, which was, in the news because Russian
fly driving
went and all that, and then NATO, the Italian Air Force had their F-35s in there, and they were flying around. We talked about this last time, and our sound guy was really great, but at the end of the last show, he drank a bottle of vodka and he revealed that he was a nationalist isolationist. And that I don't need to shame him. He was a drunk, whatever guy. But this is what I try to tell him with, I was pretty measured. I was like, hey, buddy, I've been coming to Europe for 30 years. And I used to come to places like this, Poland, Lithuania, and I
Hello.
actually would hear different angles and perspectives I'd never considered. And now you have the same binary two angles that the whole world seems to adopt. Globalist, neo-imperialist, expansionist, neoliberal versus isolationist, neo-fascist, nationalist. How about both of them fucking suck? Can you consider that? Like, what side
Thank
are
you.
you on? I mean, I can't even believe people are so, well, I think it's social media or whatever, but they're trapped into this.
Look, I understand
a non-binary binary. It's like two horrible options. You can't say
I understand the problem completely. People, that is the ignorant, want to blame the problems that we suffer on the other. Whoever the other is anybody but you and your so-called tribe, which is bullshit. Look, we can't get over it's a global society, okay? Every country has been colonized or invaded. I'm sorry, nobody is pure of blood or breed. We're all in it together, but it is the 1%, and it is the insecure male, war horrors that think they're going to solve something by killing other people. Well, the problem is you got to do a lot more fucking killing if you want to even the playing field, and it ain't going to happen. And what are you succeeding at? You want to go to Mars, but you don't want to settle the problems on Earth. That's right. And that's all I know, because this is the Lydian spin.
And I'll leave it with Jane Goodall, one of her last interviews. She goes, you want to go to Mars? Well, how about Elon Musk, Trump, and Putin get a one-way fucking ticket for those fucking three?
I'll even contribute, or I should say contribute. Anyway, good luck in Magistan. I'm glad you're not in it. You'll be back soon enough. I'm just saying it's as fucked as it ever was. It's as fucked as it ever was. But then again, when wasn't it? This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dolan, Dave Naz, photographer, musician, filmmaker, general guy wearing many hats like so many of our guests here. Dave, I have to ask you, when did we first meet? And by the way, you took one of the most beautiful photos of me ever committed to film. Thank you very much.
That's very kind. There's been a lot of great photos, but I think we met at Book Soup in 2001. I mean, I had seen you before that, but because the book you're in is in 2002, I think it was around that time. It was when you were like about to move out here.
I wrote an intro for one of your books, one of your 17 photo books. And by the way,
Two
let me
of
just
them,
describe.
actually.
What?
Two of them, actually.
I need those intros back. The thing about your photography, and we're going to go back in time, but we're talking about that now, is your aesthetic was so high design, so architecturally beautiful, really elevating women to like high glory, erotic, not at all pornographic, just sexy, good looking in good settings. I mean, really aesthetic. I got to give that to you.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I prefer kind of a natural look. I think but I also don't like heavily posed, and I try to kind of shake the pose out of the model when I'm
no,
shooting.
but okay, you say that, but they're they're still highly, somehow they feel beautifully designed.
But that's not contrary to what he's saying. I don't
No,
think.
it's just be your eye, Dave.
I don't
Both
know.
of them.
I don't know, but if it's working for you, then I feel like I'm doing something right. So
your next book, wait, and we jump around a lot on this. I'm happy to also write the intro, by the way, because your next book is about cats, featuring one of my favorite cats, Mr. Buck Naked.
I know I had a Buck Angel in two of my books, and now I have Buck the cat. So Buck Naked the cat. I forgot to ask, is he named after Buck, the bare bottom band Buck Naked, or
I don't think so. Let's ask Church about that. But let's
You
go
might
back to
real
let's go
fast.
back.
Let me just. I remember being at Club Lingerie years ago, and I was playing at the show, and for some my mom was there, and Buck Naked in the bare bottom band was playing, and yeah, so I'm sitting at the table with my mom as this bare ass man is playing guitar. It just felt a little weird at the time, but.
And who were you playing with, and what were you playing?
I don't even remember. I played there so much in the 80s, but I do remember playing a show there in 88 with the Chemical People. It was All was the headliner and Chemical People, and I played in that band and I also played in the last. And I was underage, so they would kick me out in between sets. So that
So
was
was
fun.
Chemical People your first band? I mean, you were 7 albums,
Yeah.
underage, Dave Naz.
Minor, yeah. Actually, two posthumous records too.
What did you mention that summer there's like a reish coming out now?
Well, there's like two, yeah, there was I guess a reissue and also just the demos record that because vinyl's popular, so this
Yeah.
Hey Suburbia put out a couple
Were
records.
you playing drums in Chemical People?
I sang and later sang and played guitar. In the beginning, I sang and played drums, set my drums up to be at the front of the stage and did both.
An effect I really like. When
Dinosaur
did you
Jr. did
start?
it.
When did you start on the drums? Because I always find that if anybody who's going to start with drums, poor parents. Like I have any sympathy for parents, I don't. But
Well, I started on guitar, but we needed a drummer, so signed it up on the drums. And it's funny because I was listening to your podcast with Bungie, and I remember it made me think of me cranking Juju on my vinyl of Juju and playing drums to it, and it was like it was distorting my speakers. And I remember the neighbor, this younger daughter of the neighbor came over and I thought there was a live band playing because it was so loud. And I was like, well, kind of, but not
a
really.
one-man band at that point.
Yeah, yeah. So
How
that's how
old
I
were you in my? So how underage were you?
probably like 14 or something, or 13, 14 when I started. Yeah.
Did you like your neighbors?
You know what? They were looking back, they were really tolerant. They did call police a few times, but I mean, other people, I've seen people do worse. So I think I did okay. And eventually that led me to, or led my mother to, um, soundproofing the garage, which,
Oh, so they're
Thank you,
encouraging
Mom.
you.
oh
They're
yeah, no,
Yeah.
encouraging
my
you.
mother was like very encouraging of everything.
Wow. Okay.
How
And then once
lucky.
that was soundproofed, I invited other bands to play there. That I liked. So I would like go to every show. In I want to say in '84, I went to like every show possible. I remember seeing, I think I saw you with Lydia with Rollins and Hubert Selby at Lhasa Club.
Oh,
I think that was in
amazing. I mean,
'85.
Hubert Selby, Henry Rollins, and myself must have been amazing.
That was a fun time, yeah. And then later with Nirvana at Bogarts.
No, I wasn't on that bill though.
You were doing poetry in the
What
other
with Nirvana? No,
Nirvana, yeah, I'm pretty sure
I
Nirvana and Billy Childish.
erase. I don't. You might know more than I do because if I would have known, I might have saved that poor child from his ultimate death. But
Yeah.
just saying, there were a
Did,
lot of great. So '86 is when you started playing, but you were going to shows from '84 or before, right? I mean, you were just a teeny bops.
yeah, '84 was really when I was like taking the bus to shows, and then when I was 15, I was taking my Vespa to shows. I was like just going to everything. Yeah.
X was
Was
playing a
mom still
lot
encouraging
then.
you?
I'm sorry.
Was mom still encouraging you once you were taking the bus to shows?
She was. Yeah, she's always just encouraged me when I was
Did she ever not encourage you? Was there anything you ever did that she didn't like?
when I quit school, she didn't encourage me to do that. She
I think
was
that's
like
probably reasonable.
absolutely horrified when I did that.
Yeah.
I have to say, my father couldn't say anything when I quit school because he quit school too. So I'm like, ha ha ha, ha goodbye. X
Well,
played a
yeah.
lot in those days, and X were amazing then.
I saw X in '84 at the Ackerman Ballroom, and the Chili Peppers opened, and they didn't even have a record out yet. Um,
I wish
and
they never had one since, but anyway.
Roar. So, were there any good Chili Pepper shows you ever saw? I mean, they've been around for a long time, done a lot of things.
you know what? I used to actually really enjoy them. At my age, I mean, they were like amazing musicians, and they
Sure.
actually rehearsed at my place for a while because
Okay.
What? Say that again. What?
they actually rehearsed at my studio for a while. In
Who were
like,
some of your favorite bands at that point in the LA
um,
scene?
well, yeah, X was definitely one of them.
They gave you chills. They were so good at that point.
They were incredible, yeah. And
Yeah.
but I remember that was the last. I can remember that was the last show I didn't wear earplugs to because my ears were ringing for several. And then after that, I just wore earplugs to every show. Um, but yeah, but then, and I remember I met the Pandoras, the band of
Yep.
Pandoras, um,
We had
and
we had we had Rita on.
you had Read On. Okay, this was before. This
Yeah,
was
she was
like
later.
80, wait, 84, 85, and and then I ended up roading for them, and they rehearsed in my place, and I roaded for them, and I learned a lot about. Actually, I learned a lot about music just sitting in on the Chili Peppers, watching them play for hours. And I'm not even friends with them now. I would like they wouldn't even know who I am. But like the Pandoras, I've maintained a friendship with all those girls and Melanie and Kim, who passed away. But that's how I learned how to like play, how to like interact with other band members and just see people really connect and have a better understanding of music.
Did
Did
drums
did
become your more major instrument after your initial guitar vocal thing, or
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a terrible vocalist, but I mean, it's punk rock, so it didn't really matter. But back then, there weren't as many drummers. Like now, I mean, if I look on Instagram, there's 16, I think there's like a 14-year-old girl that can just blow away anything I could ever do, even at my, apex of drumming. I
Yeah, but
mean,
but don't give yourself no credit because what you're claiming, what you learned was how bands and people interact. And so, and I was, for years I was thinking about this because I'm like I went to music school and all this shit, and I remember when people were going to these music store clinics of Omar Hakim and all these like insane virtuoso drummers,
yeah.
but they would never go to concerts. And so
Mm.
you're talking about like these, you look at Instagram or YouTube and see these virtuosos, but
it's
people
the
are more
live
interested
thing that
in
matters?
them
Yeah.
doing fucking carny tricks than actually applying it to fucking music. Seems strange to me, but yes. But so you obviously learned a bunch just by taking in all that. Question is a Pandora's roadie gig, does it pay?
No, no. I mean, I was just like thrilled to be there. Are you kidding me?
Come
I mean,
on.
the only
You're
guy with
surrounded by a
with a
bunch of
band
hot
full of
chicks
girls
playing
there.
music. Come on, Dave. Hot chicks playing music. Come on. What more do you
Yeah, I
want?
mean, you would need to pay me now to do that.
Nice.
No,
Nice.
actually, no live music now. I don't go to that many shows anymore.
You don't got many
But that
shows.
was
And
fun.
and is there a threshold of audience size that you kind of cut off at when you want to go experience a music concert?
Now you're talking, or
Sure, or maybe ever. I mean, what were
um,
your experiences with large crowds versus small crowds? I mean, what's your take
I
on that?
mean, there weren't that. I went to like Iron Maiden and shows like that, but like punk rock is where I connected. That's where I saw most of the shit. But I also went to like some of the big rock shows that time too.
What year did you see Iron Maiden?
I saw them on Somewhere in Time and is
In
it
Long
Sec?
Beach?
Yes, Long Beach Arena.
All
Yeah,
right.
twice there. I
Oh,
saw
I
them.
pulled
No,
that
no,
one
I
out.
saw them Long Beach Arena and Irvine Meadows. Yeah.
And was it was
Did
that satisfying, or what did the crowd look like? I mean, I always say like the metalhead has been appropriated by like Comic Con because the guys that were metalheads back then were maybe kind of scary. They're either worked themselves to death or they're in jail or they just like gave up. What did a Long Beach Iron Maiden show look like in the 80s?
It wasn't scary, that's for sure.
Okay.
It wasn't
How did you
scary.
get there? How'd you get to Long Beach? Not on your Vespa.
No, well, back then I was driving, and I actually
Okay.
went with Robert Hecker from Red Cross. I remember that show, and he was more into the kind of metal stuff, and Vinnie Vincent was opening, and who I think is kind of gross, but
Well, have you checked
was
out
way
Vinnie
into that.
Vincent's Invasion? Have you checked out
Yeah,
his Boys
right.
About to Rock? That's pretty good.
Who were some of your favorite bands you saw during, your early teenage years? Because that was a ripe period for a lot of people
Mm,
playing a lot of
yeah,
good, interesting LA punk, mainly punk at that point, or post punk, or whatever you want to call it, or you know.
yeah. I mean, I also like the 3 o'clock and like the kind of Paisley Underground. We're doing something different, and Red Cross, who I became friends with and also rehearsed at my place. And then Descendants, and who also ended up rehearsing my place. But yeah, Descendants had a big impact on me, and like Social Distortion, and just
Really, I mean, like hard punk,
yeah, yeah,
which is not reflected necessarily in your other arts, your photography, which is interesting. But before even that, what made you decide you started then, which is such a cool fucking thing because somebody should be doing it, or was you were doing it then? You started a merchandise
yeah.
company.
And I can't remember, I know I did a few of your designs too back then, but I think it was after we met, and I did that Conspiracy of Women shirt and the
Oh,
1313.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the Conspiracy of Women shirt was awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And around that time, I was like kind of through playing music, and so I knew a lot of bands. I figured I could just do their tour merch, and merchandising wasn't really that popular then. And now there's like a ton of merchandising companies, but back then there wasn't a lot. And I knew that like these people would trust me, and so I
To
did a
do the
lot of music.
designs for it and do also the sales rep of it, or what?
Both, I mean, or a lot of people had designs, and like my friend Chris Sherry he does a lot of artwork for bands, and so it was also a way to connect people with people I knew, and to meet a lot of other people too. I was the band I was in, Down by Law, wasn't that popular when I was in the band when we started, but after like Epitaph started, once the Offspring took off, then everybody on Epitaph like was lifted up, and
By the way,
so
excuse me, but because the offspring, I'm kind of obsessed with Dexter Holland because virologist, hot sauce maker, pilot. Oh, connect me, please. I mean, music, whatever. But I have to say, I love a smart man with an occasionally good haircut.
Well, you
it's
don't
funny.
like Bruce. You don't have like Bruce Dickinson, who's a pilot, world class fencer, and a operatic singer for British heavy metal. But okay,
Well, I ain't going out like that.
fair enough.
You have standards. No,
Yeah, yeah, he's got
Well,
standards.
virologist is top of the list. I mean, that just has to be, yeah, somebody who's obsessed
All
with
right,
viruses
that's
and
unfair.
bacteria and disease. Hello. I'm just
perfect.
putting the call out there in case.
It's funny. I never knew all that until he was on like Graham Benzinger's show or something, and I saw that clip. I was blown away. But I don't know those guys, but we did play together, and they were like far down on the bill, just like no one really knew who they were, and all of a sudden they blew up.
it it was a weird time where it's so strange what did blow up for that
Yeah,
short period. I mean, it's kind of interesting because now we just try not to blow out.
it's true.
Or have to give a blowjob every now and then. Say it, but that'll be in my intro.
Lord.
Trust me.
Oh,
Hello.
you know what? Something else, like I guess a precursor to, I guess, really getting out there and playing was I met Greg Shaw because I used to go to the
Of
Captain
Bump,
Club.
right? Bump.
Yeah, Bomb Records, right.
Very
Um,
important fucking label at that point.
yeah, and they did like one of their imprints was Vox, and they did more of the garage stuff too.
Well,
That
and
was
also,
really,
didn't they do one of my favorite Iggy Pop records? They did Kill City,
yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh.
which I just covered Johanna with our booking agent, Joey Killingsworth, for their Iggy Pop cover album. I mean, that's just one of my favorite.
That's
Johanna, Kill City, Bump Records. Come on.
That is, yeah, that's awesome. I love that song, yeah, and that record. But I was going to the Cavern Club like I was driving my Vespa there and really getting into that. Like it was this kind of underground garage thing that was happening, and that's actually where we played our first show. And so I had gone out with Red Cross up north to Ruddy for like 3 shows, and I went, you know what, I'm kind of done with school. I'm over it already, and this is what I want to do.
How
Um,
old were Red Cross at the time?
I mean, Steve wasn't that much older than me, but
Right.
but yeah,
Yeah, under 20, all of you.
yeah, oh, for sure, yeah. Um, and so that was kind of the point where anyway,
Dedicated.
so
You decided you had to dedicate.
I was dedicated, yeah, and driven because I did follow through. But convincing my mom and it took a little bit of time, but I did. And then I was 16, I believe, and you have to have a job and you had to, parents had to sign off on it. And so Greg said that I could work at Bump. And so I was like,
Doing
great.
what? Doing what?
Oh, well, so my mom fills out the paperwork and Greg signs the paperwork. And then he's like in Glendale, which is way like on the other side of town. And I remember I went there one day. I'm like, I can't, this is too much
I
work to
can't
come out
travel
here
this
every
far.
day. And so I think I organized records one day and just never came back after that.
I like that kind of concept about job employment. One day I'm done. Thank you very much. I did live in Glendale at one point and it was lovely, I
I
have to
remember
say.
when yeah, I do. I remember
Well,
that.
that's where you took that most amazing photo of me on my red couch. It was
Right,
still one
right.
of my favorites. So, when did you start getting into photography? Would you photograph bands at that time when you're in them and when you're playing or not? When did that come into the picture?
Not that much. I would take my camera out and I do have some like, photos of SNFU and all like just but they're not great. I didn't have any aspirations to be a photographer. And then I had Chaser and I was kind of burned out on that
Chaser was
already.
your merchandising company for the t-shirts and the band merchandise.
Yes, yeah. And then my best friend was working for me and he killed himself. And that was like, and I found him, and it was a very
Ugh,
it was jolting, and kind of it's
terrible.
pretty heavy stuff. And at that point I realized like I needed a change in my life, like a life change. And I remember going to Mocha and Larry Clark, Nan
Oh,
Goldin, Diane Arbus had this photo show, and I was like,
how amazing. Wait a minute. We have contacted Larry Clark. We're going to have him on this show.
okay,
One of my favorites, Diane
yeah.
Arbus. And, come on, Nan Goldman. This is the city of New York, how it was horrible relationship wise was. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
that
that,
really like as soon as I saw that show, I'm like, this is what I want to do.
Were you familiar with them until you saw that show?
I wasn't. I wasn't. I think I'd
Right.
seen some of the Diane Arbus work
Sure.
and like SNFU stole one of her photos for an album cover. And so I was like, oh, that's weird. This is odd, but I didn't really think too much about it. But at that time, when you want to like,
yeah.
when you need to be kickstarted, that's the kind of show that will do it.
Sure.
You know that
You,
Silly Man now again is having controversy over her photos of her children. Again, this is back in
I
the
saw
news,
that.
which is
she
so
just had a big
ridiculous.
show. She had a big show, and people try to cock block
I mean,
these kind of celebrations. That's how I saw it. But
all right, so you saw Larry Clark, Diane Arbus, and Nan Goldin. You said, okay, my next phase.
And I was dating a girl that her dad was a really good photographer. So I was like, I could just ask this guy a million questions. Um, and so I was just shooting with natural light then. And she let me
Which
photograph
is really
her.
beautiful. But by the way, which is really beautiful natural light. Often, either to me, it's a blowout or it's a natural light.
but before you run with this, because obviously this is analog photography you're talking about,
Yeah.
and the intuition of natural light is still a mystery upon what's on the other side of that fucking curtain. Ultimately, it's not an instant. I don't know, an instant interpretation. And
Yeah.
I don't want to jump too far ahead here, but how has that changed your photography? The digital from analog to digital relationship.
Well, I
Well, can I
embraced it.
just say one thing, Dave, is that
Okay.
capturing a photograph at the right second is capturing a second that will never exist again. This
Right.
is why I'm really a huge fan, or even why I started to do photography. It's capturing a second that will never exist again. And you either you get that second or you don't,
But
especially
Lydia,
with analog.
but Lydia, like music recording, LA, you'd have the top session guys who are capturing that second. And
Absolutely.
now just cram them in, snapshot that shit on Pro Tools, and it's all post production.
Yeah. All right. So back to analog, Dave.
Yeah, well, that's connected with this. Exactly.
I'm so grateful that there was no digital when I started, because I'm not meticulous, just in my art or anything I do, my photography.
Well, excuse me, your photos are meticulous. Your
You're too
books are
kind.
meticulous.
You're very kind.
No, I'm not.
But I would take like a notebook and write down the settings and write down the frame numbers so I could
You'd storyboard.
just so I could refer to it and see what I was doing, to create. Because I was just kind of working it out as I was going along. But I'd met Vicky Burnt, who shot many of the L7 photos and Hole and all that stuff. And she's incredible. She's an incredible artist and incredible photographer. And she taught me how to use a Hasselblad. This is like I'm moving forward a little bit.
Yeah, but that's an expensive instrument. So when she teaches that, did you have access to a Hasselblad?
Yeah, I mean, once I got serious and I was like,
hey, Mom, I need a Hasselblad. Come on.
So yeah, no, I eventually ended up getting one, and she taught me how to like use lighting, like strobe lighting, and how to, yeah, I guess the ins and outs of photography.
What were your first subjects? Were they bands?
No, I never shot any band. I mean, I had over the years I've shot bands, but I didn't shoot bands because like intentionally. It was just people I knew that I was doing photography, so that I would end up shooting them. But generally, I was going downtown just because I didn't want to be derivative of the work I saw. But I thought, well, the closest thing to me is there's a lot of homeless people at this downtown LA at this time was just desolate.
And what year was that, Dave?
95.
So are you a fan of Winogrand? I'm already thinking, post Diane Arbus. Winogrand, of course, was 50s and 60s, analog.
Sure.
It was not Hasselblad. It was kind of like
I love Winogrand.
Get it out.
The difference is he's like a street photographer, more or less. I don't want to just
right.
I love
that's
his
what
work.
he's known for.
And
some
so
people claim he's digital before digital in terms of just the concept.
Sure. No, he's amazing. And I just actually recently saw a documentary on him that's pretty good. It's worth seeing.
So back to you going downtown. You're going downtown. White boy going downtown. Very desolate at that point. Still desolate. Now a lot more people on the streets. You're going downtown with an analog camera.
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
And so I'm finding these really down and out homeless people. And I just would go up to them and say, I'd give them like $3 and go, hey, can you just pretend like I'm not here and let me take a few photos? And then I did that a lot. And some people would get angry at me, you don't know what you're going to get. But I got some good photos that way, I thought. And even looking back on them, it's like, it was a different approach, but it wasn't street photography because I kind of was setting it up too much. It wasn't reportage in the way that like Winogrand or, people of that.
Would you consider Ouija that?
Ouija was a lot of things because he would shoot like party photos, and then he also shot I think some crime, like
a lot of crime stuff.
Shot crime.
I wasn't even aware of that until later on. But when I saw his show at LACMA, which was pretty amazing.
Amazing. The crime stuff is just amazing. Which, by the way, even though he wasn't a part of it, they mentioned Ouija in the new Ed Gein Monster Ryan Murphy series, which I recommend, as most of Ryan Murphy's 80% good, 20% might be corny, and most might not be true. But what's interesting with the Ed Gein 8-part series is they go from Ed Gein to Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock, to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Tobe Hooper, to like the continuum that Ed Gein and to other serial killers, and also to like the Vietnam War, like why Toby Hooper, whether it's true or not, wanted to make Texas Chainsaw Massacres. Look at the dead bodies piled up in Vietnam. We have to show America what it really is. Disgusting.
That's what Tom Savini said, because he was a Vietnam vet, and Savini
but
was.
They have also Ouija in there at one point because there's a fictitious girlfriend of Ed Gein who wants to be a Ouija's assistant. So she's taking, not true this part, taking photos of, the dead bodies hanging upside down, being gutted. Not true to the real story, but still an interesting thing that we have Ouija, Alfred Hitchcock, Toby Hooper, and a variety of other serial killers. Ryan Murphy always stretches the boundaries.
And before you respond to that, Dave, I have to say, Lydia, sort of like how you used to like to run away from home and try to find the serial killer that wasn't there. Ouija got a police radio, and he arrived at the crime scenes before the cops got there to take the fucking photographs.
Well, I am the killer that a killer, Tim, I am the killer that a killer will never kill because I am Dexterella. Back to the homeless in Times Square. I mean, and downtown LA. So you're doing that. What's the next phase then? So you're accomplishing this, which is pretty fucking bold because let's face it, it was a ghost zone of zombies.
But you kind of want to feel some kind of pain when you're shooting, when you have something so traumatic happen like that. So it really kind of it was gasoline, it was working well. But also around that time, and let me go back just a bit. I remember going to Bleecker Bob's and getting and seeing Fingered, the Fingered video cassette.
Now wait a second, Dave Naz. The Richard Kern masterpiece?
That is correct.
I wrote.
Thank you. And I remember buying it from the drummer of the Mumps who worked there at the time. Anyway, so I saw that. I'm like, oh, I need to own that. And
that inspired what?
Well, so I guess that was back. I don't remember when that came out, like 85 or something.
Neither do I. I have no idea.
Anyway, so that I hadn't really seen much from Richard Kern since that, but it was like seared into my brain as that movie sears your brain, right? So
considered either the most feminist or the most misogynist or most misanthropic film ever made.
So now I remember going into Rizzoli Books in Santa Monica, and there's a Richard Kern book, and I was like, oh, that's the guy that did Fingered, and it was the Purr book that he did, like New York Girls. And I remember going through that, and I was like, oh wow. And I have my t-shirt company, and so I was like, I should hit him up. I should hit him up for a shirt, And so we did a couple shirts with him, and then when he would come to LA, I would assist him because he found out that I was a photographer. We just kind of developed a friendship. And so when he came to LA, he was shooting for the magazines, and I would assist him. And so I was like him, wanted to shoot naked people too. And so
why?
Just because that just is something that
different time as well.
To do sometime, but there is kind of a I guess a vulnerability. There's something, it's interesting,
Well, is there also a vulnerability to you, the photographer? There must be.
Yeah, I mean,
you're exposing yourself as well.
That's true. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna have to use that. No,
but, just asking.
But no, it was interesting, and also his work just really I was drawn to it. And also his personality, he's kind of laid back, and I'm pretty laid back, and I thought,
and he's very funny, and you're funny. Really I'm funny.
Yeah.
I can be very laid back. People don't realize cool as a fucking cucumber up Richard Kern's ass.
Well, let me ask you, because we were talking about Diane Arbus. What about Diane Hansen? She lives out there. You know her personally?
I do. Yeah, I do know.
I mean, she's kind of incredible because she's taken on the Tashin sexuality department of their books and really made something with no, as far as I can see, no I wouldn't say no ego. I don't know, but she doesn't want the attention of what her interests are and what her interests are, which are pretty incredible. I mean, I don't know her personally, but I know about her quite a bit. I know mutual friends.
Dave, I want to ask you this. When you were starting to first shoot women in various, clothed or unclothed, I mean, what was the point for you? Because I do find there's a very big difference between your photography and Richard Kern's. And I do think it stands on its own. And I guess it's the difference between, I would say Richard Kern could be hustler and you would be, I don't want to say playboy because that's an insult, but you know what I mean? It's like you have a more gentler take on the female experience, which I think really came through and also is really, I mean, it's sexy and it's beautiful and it doesn't seem exploitative and it doesn't seem pornographic or rude. It just seems these are beautiful women in beautiful settings shot beautifully. But what was your intention after just now I'm stimulated by this, Richard Kern? Yeah.
Well, and also I probably should have explained it better. Like when I'm shooting women, and also I was interested in shooting guys too. Like I was like I just to me like the photographs I was looking at, you look at Larry Clark's photos, like there's a lot of naked people. So I feel like if you at the time the way my mind worked was like, oh, if I could do that, then I'm doing something that not everybody's able to do, and I'm
right for many reasons not able to do. Of course, people won't let them. They don't want them to, or it's just going to be whatever it is, which is this is what I want to get to the point of why yours was different.
Well, I don't, and I'm not Richard. Yeah, we just have different, I guess, approaches.
Aesthetics.
Yeah, aesthetics.
Absolutely.
And also, like when I'm shooting, I'm definitely not getting off, and Richard's not either. But I don't like get off. I'm like not getting off on it, or else I wouldn't. I don't think I do a very good job.
Probably because you're concentrating too hard on everything else involved in taking the photo, Dave. Am I right?
People kind of assume that,
Can I
say it again, Dave? Wait, say it again. What?
A lot of people kind of assume that when they see, the.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they do. But what about the contrarian spirit? So, you're in LA with these kind of banal presentations of sexuality and nudity, and you rebelled against that clearly. As you say, you're into the natural, quote unquote, natural take.
Well, just meaning non-silicone enhanced.
Well, I mean,
they still wear makeup and have sexy clothes.
I'm not.
Some of them don't have makeup though. I have a whole series with the girls with no makeup at all. So yeah.
So what I'm saying is I'm not coming down on what that history is,
mm-hmm.
but clearly that doesn't interest you, or you rebel against it, or maybe you're a contrarian. I don't really know, but you don't want to do that.
Well, another thing I learned from Richard was when you hire a model for like a job, do a bunch of your own stuff too. Like get a bunch of your own like ideas, a bunch of your own series, and so you just collect this work. And so by the time, like when I got really good at that, the model, I was shooting a model for a magazine, let's say, and then they would arrive, I would say arrive with no makeup. And the moment they arrived, I go, I just want you in your street clothes, no makeup on. I'd put this real big soft light. And they'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to look at it."
Of course, they're not happy with that.
But a lot of them would be happy with it afterwards. But some of them would be hesitant,
Well, they'd be happy because you're a great photographer. That's why they're happy. So, and most women I could understand don't want to be photographed in their street clothes with no makeup when they're expecting it to be a bit more highfalutin.
Yeah, but I would pay them a little bit more and get that work, and then also I would shoot them a lot of times with like real expensive like pantyhose or leggings, but with no makeup, so it would just look really kind of.
But also, you some of your photographs. I mean, I haven't seen all 17 of your books. I'm waiting for the box to arrive, but to me, it had more of a 50s aesthetic, only because it was so nicely stylized and it was so and it wasn't intrusive. It did seem natural, even with makeup and expensive. I want to see expensive lingerie on ladies. I'm not into the natural look or nudity. I'd rather have a gal or a man dressed up in a something really cool, nice, and sexy because it's just more mysterious and evocative. So I can't tell what all your 17 photos, but that you
Well,
had 17 books of photography is amazing.
Yeah, well, that's what and you're in the first one, and I should probably tell you the story behind it, even though
Oh,
you're in it, you
please do.
probably
I don't know
don't know
it.
the story behind it. But I was looking for, like a theme, right? So I'd found this magazine. I think I maybe shot like one dominatrix or something, and I found this magazine called DDI, and it was like this is before the before the internet was big. And if you wanted to get a dominatrix, you have to get this like thick, glossy magazine, and then their phone number would be in there with a bunch of pictures of them, right? But
Unbelievable. Never heard of this.
oh yeah,
How awesome.
and then there'd be a list of what they would do to you, you know? And so I got this, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And I started cold calling these these dominatrixes.
For a
And
shy guy, you're pretty bold, Dave. I mean, you're
and
both shy and bold. You really are. Come on.
and a lot of them responded to it, and they wanted new photos, and so
They needed photos.
they needed photos, and there
They
was not
needed
a lot,
models.
it was the film days, so there wasn't a bunch of people with a digital camera. So I shot a lot of them, and then some of them started letting me shoot their scenes, like where they were like torturing these lawyers, and sometimes I wouldn't that work. A lot of that work can never be shown because I don't have releases for it, but I shot people getting like, just seriously tortured, and
And let's face it, lawyers, politicians, government workers, Congress, Senate. I mean, should be freaking tortured because they're torturing all of us now. I'm just saying.
oh, it makes sense why they'd want to be in that
It,
vulnerable position. But yeah, for sure.
yeah,
right,
you got
right.
to give up control at some point. Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah,
So that's a very bold move. Was that one of your books then?
that's the book you're in. Um,
Why am I in it?
well, because you're kind of adjacent to that, And
I am only a philosophical, intellectual, and occasionally sexual dominatrix.
I, I thought you
How did
fit
I
the.
end up in it? I don't remember this at all, Dave. You tell.
Well, it was kind of LA based, and you were in LA at the time, and it was kind of the fetish kind of scene in LA at that time, and yeah, you were pretty close to that. So
Where did
yeah,
you photograph me?
at your house.
In Glendale?
Yeah, on the couch, on
But
that
I mean,
couch.
you photographed me. I'm in a white dress the first time and only time
Wait, wait,
ever
wait,
on my
wait. So
couch.
Lydia,
Hardly.
Dave, I have to say tonight I learned two. I've gone with Lydia for a second. So she's open. She worked with Nirvana on a show. I never knew that, and I
Never,
didn't know about this
no memory.
couch photo shoot. Oh, cool. All right, more info.
But, so, Dave, wait. In that white dress on my red couch, I'm in the book of dominatrixes.
Well, you're in a corset,
Oh,
so a lot of
I need
the
to see. I'm sure I was hot.
oh, it's hot, but
Hey,
technically, all the women in the book aren't dominatrixes. Some of them are just kind of
well,
around that scene.
Dave, do you consider me a dominatrix?
I think you're not far from it. If I think yeah,
I stretch
you
all
do fine.
I think she's
boundaries.
a switch. I think she's a switch. I don't know. Ask her.
You know what? You can have all your false preconceptions you want because whatever I am, you made. No, you didn't. Whatever I am, I made myself. You don't fucking know me. Parts of myself, even I don't know. That's a speech. I'm just saying.
Well, I read
Well, thank you.
Paradoxia, so I kind of know you. So
Whoa.
Again, you think you know me? Get in line, honey bunny. I think we need another photo shoot soon. But then again, now you've gone from, and I have to say it, hardcore pussy to cats. Another form of pussy. What is this latest book of yours, Dave? And by the way, I am very happy to have introduced you to Mr. Bucknaked, who's also in it. So now you're doing, because of the times we're in, or you have a cat.
I do.
I
Yeah,
love cats.
yeah. No,
I've
I
always
have a
had
cat.
cats.
Yeah.
I can't have a
Um,
cat now because I'm gone too much. Got nobody to watch it. But
hmm,
so now you have how many? 144 pictures of cats.
yeah. Right around there. Yeah. I start like in 2020. I think it was 2020. I just was trying to figure out a new project to do, and I my cat that I had with Ori, my ex-wife, um, who she did the reading for you, but
I don't know the
anyway,
cat, but I might know the ex-wife. That's true.
you do, yeah. But so she had a cat, and I would photograph it, and often I would photograph it in the studio after I'd shot someone, and I would use the backdrop and shoot the cat, and then
And it
I
was an
thought,
obedient cat because they can be obstreperous. I mean, they can be very independent.
I've learned that. Yeah, I've learned that. But this cat got used to it, and as my cat Doris is used to it now. But not the case with many of the other cats that I've shot.
Of
But
course
that's
not. That must
part of
be
the challenge,
difficult.
is that it's not shooting dogs where you just sit them down, they sit there and smile at you. The cat is like all over the place. Although Buck, I will say, I did it with Cassandra and Buck, and I was like, well, we might need another person there to kind of head him
Mr.
off at
Buck
the pass.
Naked, the
Yeah,
superstar of all cats. We love him. So, but how was he? I
he was
must
great.
ask.
He didn't run all over the place.
Because he's a
Um,
poser of extraordinary talent.
yeah. Yeah, no, we got some good stuff. Yeah. But yeah,
And so
that book
this
is
is
coming
coming out
out.
on Rare Bird,
Rare Bird, yeah.
which is great because Chris Marr's book, which we loved, the oil paintings of his brother schizophrenia, is so amazing.
That's a
And then I
great
just
book.
met the other day, and we'll have him on soon again. Is Gary Littman's new book is on Rare Bird. Bird is putting out some very interesting stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I did two books with them, I think 2014, I think, and 2017, I think, something like that. But
Well, I mean, and don't you think that this might be, strangely enough, your biggest seller? I mean, obviously, possibly your most commercial. Not that
definitely.
that's the goal, but come on.
When I did the budget, I realized I just spent way too much on it. So if I don't recoup it, that's fine, but it would be nice to.
There's a lot of cat people out there and a lot
Yeah.
of crazy cat ladies, as they like to call some of us, because you know what? There's so many fucking dogs dogging us all over the place. No wonder we turn to a goddamn cat every now and then just for
Well,
a little,
so
a little like discordant love.
Dave, do you have the feline parasite? Are you
Oh
addicted to
God.
cats? Like, but biologically, are you addicted to cats, or parasitically, are you addicted to cats?
No, I mean, I grew up with dogs. I actually grew up with dogs.
Doesn't mean you don't have the parasite, but okay.
I mean, hopefully I don't have the parasite, but I
There's
don't
no
know.
telling. There's no
I haven't
telling.
been
It's
tested, so I
pretty
don't
common if
know.
you have a cat.
Is there a blood test I can do, or what is?
Uh, did you see Tiger King? What did you think of that cat lover?
Oh, is that the guy that's in jail?
Yeah,
Yeah, the Oklahoma
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Joe
gay guy,
Exotica.
Joe Exotic.
the
Yeah,
gay
yeah, I thought it was
Republican
great.
MAGA cat loving. Yeah,
Yeah, I like
I
that.
mean,
I'm
who
happy
knows?
that
Who,
house cats
who
are
knows
not
who?
the size of dogs. Because if a house cat was the size of a dog, every cat lover would be massacred. I'm
I
pretty
mean, there's
sure.
Maine
I
Coons.
would train my cat like I train my men, lovingly but with a firm hand.
All right.
Just saying.
Okay.
My cat knew
Okay.
a lot of tricks. My last cat had a lot of tricks. I'm just saying. If I
What
if I
about
am chosen to write one of the intros for your cat book, I'll supply a picture of my cat, Buster.
do either of you know anyone that potty trained their cat to pee in the toilet? I mean, that's a thing.
I've seen that. I've seen people that I know, they did that with their cat. Yeah.
Yeah.
It,
How do you even do that? I don't know.
Well,
when
it's
you
very
put,
easy.
yeah,
Go on Google,
yeah.
go on YouTube, you'll find it. It's not that difficult. Cats are
I'm gonna
very
do it immediately.
intelligent.
I'm gonna do it immediately.
If I could train a squirrel to go in the toilet and to attack at will, trust me, I'd
Did you
have
do
one.
that?
I didn't
I've-
do it.
Squirrels or cats, I possibly could. I'm just saying.
They cannot coexist, but that's a different point.
By the way,
Uh,
Tim, you are so wrong because in the 1700s, people had more squirrels for pets than they had cats or dogs.
No,
Now
but it didn't mean they coexisted in the same house. I mean,
they did. Oh,
cats
in
see
the
cats
house.
see a rodent, they go after it. They just do. They can't
Look,
help
I'd
it.
rather have a squirrel than a mouse.
Non sequitur, but I appreciate that point.
It's funny. I was thinking we did a photo show at the same gallery too, Perihelion.
Okay,
Yeah,
San Diego before it
no,
became.
no,
No,
Arizona, Phoenix.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Arizona.
Yeah,
We had a photo show together.
not together. I remember
At the
you
same
had one
place.
coming up. Yeah,
That's when I had like I think forensic photos of X-rays and people that were burned in fires and criminology.
Going back to analog, how much time in the darkroom did you have?
Zero. Yeah.
0. So how
yeah.
did that work? How did you coexist with the analog and no darkroom?
I mean, I didn't shoot that much black and white. I shot, a fair amount, but I shot a lot of chrome. So chrome, like E6 is fairly easy to, it's cheap and and it looks good if you meter it correctly. It doesn't have a lot of latitude, but if you hit it right, it's really beautiful. So that's what I was doing a lot of when I was shooting for magazines.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So no, what photography that is completely outside of your world do you appreciate?
Interesting.
I mean, sports photography is pretty complicated, right? I mean, there's a lot of different types of photography that's like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah, sport. I actually love sports, but the sports photography I'm not as much into. But like
No, the
Sally,
reason I bring this up is my neighbor in New York is, I'm not going to mention his name, is like one of these elite sports photographers. And I asked him the other day, because he did like Michael Jordan and all this fucking shit.
oh, cool.
He said all those action ones are not really interesting to him. He goes, golf is his favorite one. I was like, what are you fucking talking about? And he said that it allows, because he's super into Weston and all these like landscape people, and it gives him these other possibilities. And he said, and I remember this photograph, AP, everyone picked it up, of Tiger Woods in one of these big matches where he got on a hill and you saw this massive landscape of trees in contrast to this kind of Trump man-made garbage golf course, and then this crowd and TV cameras, like human synthesized, like with their natural experience on this match, and yet it captured something much bigger. Anyhow, that's what he told me. But
No. Well, that would be more interesting to me than like you said, like that, just action shot that
right, exactly, yeah.
But I also
let's just get back to this. I mean, it's so hard to shoot even bands live. It's so hard to get one good shot when people are shooting for the whole hour. I mean, sports has got to be even more freaking difficult to get a live action shot. It's just so random. It's just you have to click, 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 click.
Well,
no.
During analog, they have those machine gun things, sort of like spy cameras that our U.S. military would use. Like, anyhow.
And then having like this large man running at you that could crush you, they have that.
There's
too.
that too. Exactly.
Waiting for that my whole life. What are you talking about, son?
Have you ever had a large woman running at you that would crush you?
That maybe in the future, I'll think it's next project.
I would ask how large. By the way, did you ever see Leonard Nimoy's photos?
I did. He shot the large women too.
He shot cool. Very large women nude, and it was just such a weird and perverse and kind of extreme other beauty. But also, just on Leonard Nimoy for 1 second, The Balcony by Jean Genet, a film made with Shelley Winters, Leonard Nimoy, Peter Falk in black and white, absolutely stunning, was originally released on Mystic Fire, occasionally on YouTube. I'm just saying. Leonard Nimoy and Peter Falk in a kind of homoerotic battle. Interesting.
That does sound interesting. I remember seeing Peter Falk at Tower Records once. Just an odd sighting.
How about Peter Falk and John Cassavetes and Mickey and Nicky, directed by Elaine May, as they're trying to avoid a loan shark? Just saying. Pretty good.
I don't know that one, but
what about Peter Cetera,
Dave, stick around, Dave. We can educate each other. That's why we know each other.
Yeah. Oh man.
So with photography, would you is there something well, I guess where I was leading with this about photography that I wouldn't assume you being associated with and maybe other interests. I mean, I go there with music, things I would never do, but masters of something else. Have your curiosities been grabbed by totally different perspectives in very different worlds in photography or not?
I mean,
and also, Dave, you've adopted an entirely different perspective by shooting cats. I mean, you have made your own different perspective.
And I also shot like in 2014, I did two books. The two Rare Bird books are like on queer culture. So I've kind of taken different, I like little projects and I get into them. And that was one that I did that produced two books. And the cat thing is just like I kind of needed to do something a little different too. And I stopped shooting for the magazines, so I didn't really have that surplus of models anymore to,
Is that because periodicals are basically endangered species, or is it
yeah,
because you lost interest?
both. And the laws changed a bit too.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just didn't want to be a part of that anymore.
I mean, what do
But
you think of nature photography, like the classic National Geographic or these types of things? And does that not interest you?
not so much. But I do like William Eggleston and like Stephen
Love
Shore.
Eggleston,
Yeah, yeah, and
but
Sally
that's
Mann.
something else. That's something else. Come on, it's like
Well, I love his
proportion
color,
and all this stuff. Yeah,
and he was shooting chrome too. He was shooting
right,
chrome.
right, and it
Yeah.
looked great. It looked
Oh
great.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like a lot of the technology. It's interesting about uh now we've talked about this before in the podcast that like with music at least like music theory comes after the composer. People think it's the other way around, and a lot of the technology, if I think about Polaroid or even Kodak in some degree, it's like the template was designed by the artist before this kind of made to order product is presented to the
Uh,
consumer.
Tim, I want to get a shout out to one of our guests who was a ventriloquist comedian who became an incredible wildlife photographer, which is Carla Rhodes. Award winning,
All right,
actually, nature photographer who lives outside of Woodstock and lives in a country setting and has become a kind of an award winning nature photographer. That's also really difficult. I mean, you're capturing things again that are that you better get that 1 second in, because let's face it, a hummingbird ain't gonna hang around for long. Just saying.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, how did you meet Harry Cruz?
I never said I met Harry Cruz.
Oh, okay, I just assumed you
I
like met him
just based I
before.
just based a concept on his books. No,
Oh, okay, okay, because
it was
that's
Hubert
what.
Selby. It was Hubert Selby I met.
Oh, sure, yeah, I know that, but
Well, I knocked on
okay.
his door. That's how I met him.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I asked him if he understood how important he was to my generation, to which he said no, to which I said, I'm about to tell you. And that was the beginning of that. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot of territory here. So I'm going to say this is, as always, the Lydian spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dolan, Dave Naz. Let me know if you need an intro for that kitty cat book.
You know what? Jesse Pearson wrote an intro, but
Is it good?
it's good. But I'll have
Why
to,
don't you send it to me?
I will send it to you. Yeah,
I might have
but
some alternative concepts.
I'm going to talk to them about that too, because there's no reason there can't be
Really.
more on there. So,
Well, hello. I mean, look, I'm not paid for my blurbs, but I write good ones. I'm just saying.
oh yeah, yeah.
I'm not offering a blurb. I want
No,
to
no,
see the
you.
intro you have.
Yeah,
By
no.
the way, I want to see the other two intros I wrote. Can you JPEG them to me?
I'll send those to you too.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, Dave. See you
Thanks for
soon
having
in
me.
LA.
Yeah, Dave, thanks. Cool.
This is the Lydian spin, and we're not going to stop. But we would appreciate any help we can get because, look, our mouths do not run on gas and air alone, occasionally food and drink. So if you wouldn't mind contributing, no contribution, too large or too small, because we're just going to keep going, whether or not you help us out. Your gain, your loss.
The PayPal is paypal.me/TSD1975. That's paypal.me/TSD1975.
It would help. We're going to keep going. We don't like to beg, and certainly we're not, but actually, it's a fucking command. Take it or leave it. Thank you. This is the Lydian spin.